Hey, welcome back. Here we go, episode number 9 of Football Talk with Hawk. Today, we pick the first game of the NFL regular season. Guys, it is football time. We got the Rams, defending Super Bowl champions, going up against arguably one of the most favorite picks to win the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills, in Los Angeles, covered. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, an absolutely amazing opening night for kickoff. Cannot wait for it, but we'll get to that game just here in a little bit. What I want to go over first, key matchups week 1. Now, I'm not picking these matchups. What I'm doing is highlighting some of the matchups this week that could really play a factor into how the rest of the season can go. And by that I mean simply this: the Bills and the Rams, they're a ginormous matchup. It's huge. Two teams that could meet in February. Legitimate opportunity for them to go back and meet up again in February and play twice this year on a different stage. The Vikings and Packers, this division game in the NFC North, is going to be absolutely huge. The Vikings are looking to be able to jump out of the gates quick, take advantage of the Packers' new weakness of offense, pounce, and really give themselves a jump start into this season. And I'm excited to watch that game, see what happens. Definitely pulling for purple power on that one. The Chiefs versus Cardinals is an interesting matchup. Two quarterbacks in the top 10 in the league. But the bigger thing is, how is Arizona going to react? They don't have DeAndre Hopkins right now. Is their defense going to be strong enough without Chandler Jones? They got some losses they're going to have to come back from. Kansas City, they don't have Tyreek Hill. The general consensus right now is they're going to be okay on offense, but they're not going to have the over-the-top, the big hit over the top to be able to take that cap off the defense like they did with Tyreek Hill. Make you play more methodical. Defense may have to step up a little bit more. Tampa Bay and Dallas is a big game for both teams. They both want to get out with a win early. Both teams have a lot of question marks on the offensive line especially. Defenses for both of them are relatively known what they are. They've got their holes, they've got their strengths. It's Sunday Night Football in Dallas, exactly where Jerry Jones wants it to be. Los Angeles Chargers and Las Vegas Raiders. You got the new defense, and I realized I was saying it wrong in my last video. I get the Bosa brothers mixed up all the time. I apologize to both of them, but come on, you're both OP. It's like mixing JJ and TJ Watt. You guys are both amazing players, but you do have different skill sets as far as how you play, so my apologies. But you're going to have the new defensive front with Bosa and Mack for the Chargers, plus Chandler Jones for the defense for the Raiders, the offensive weapons for the Chargers, and then the new toy for Derek Carr to be able to play with is Devontae Adams. Can't wait for that one. And then this game to me is a underlying game. Why do I have it as a key matchup? It's big for Cincinnati. Cincinnati needs to win this game over Pittsburgh to prove they're not going to have a second slump. They're not going to have that next season slump of a Super Bowl loser. You got to beat Pittsburgh at home, opening the season, division rival. Beat Pittsburgh and crush. You may not crush all the doubts, but you got to get them down. You got to squash a little bit of the doubts of, can they actually win? That would be huge for a young team to beat a division opponent week number 1 when people are wondering if you're going to be able to still win. So those are my week 1 key matchups to watch when both teams have something that you got to see something this week. You don't want to get behind the 8 ball. The Rams and the Bills, honestly, whoever wins that game and loses that game, they're going to bounce back. But they can set the tone. I got 3 division games, 3 cross games to where it's just going to be, record and playoffs is going to be all it really matters. But those are the matchups that I'm watching for this weekend. Now, College Corner, here we go. Guys, this will be the video in the middle of the week a lot of times. This is what this video is going to be like. I'm going to have, like I said, I'm going to have my recap video. This video in the future will have the recap of Monday Night Football in it. This will be where I recap what happened Monday night, Sunday night, and then start kind of looking towards the next week. And like I said, my goal is 3 videos a week. First one will be Monday night. That's recapping the Sunday game action up to Sunday night. So Sunday night will not be on that one. Sunday night would be on this video in the middle of the week, and then the weekend video on Saturday will be the video that I do my picks in for the week. And J-Dog and Penguin are with me. We actually got the picks set up right now of who's picking what and how we're going to lay out the games and whatnot. We've got that kind of set, and we're getting those, so that'll be this weekend's video, so be watching out for that. But also this weekend, college football official week number 2. Everybody starts playing, so it opens up. Big games this weekend are going to be this. Alabama plays Texas. Why is this a big game? Texas needs to show fight. They don't need to win. They need to show fight. Texas needs to show. Now remember, this is where Arch Manning is going. He's committed to Texas, and he's not going to back out. A lot of these other kids have backed out and gone somewhere else. Arch Manning is not going to back out on Texas. He's going to Texas. He's going to be there. He's going to be the future of what Texas is. This is a future SEC matchup. The bar and how you gauge and grade Texas is going to be off of how they perform in this game. It's important for Texas to come out and play tough. If they lose the second half, that's fine, but you got to play them tough in that first half. Even be winning going into halftime. It's a huge game for Texas, not necessarily as much for Alabama, but a huge game for Texas. Next game, scrolling on down. I told you last week, conference games were going to come down, and they did not disappoint. Penn State, Purdue, absolutely amazing ending. Northwestern, Nebraska, absolutely amazing. Indiana, Illinois, awesome ending. The conference games, we had a lot of great finishes last week. A lot of great finishes. And college football came back and gave us a fantastic weekend of amazing highlights to watch, of close games. So great job to the teams last week. Opening weekend was fantastic for college football. Didn't have a lot of marquee matchups. Ohio State ended up beating Notre Dame. Georgia just swamped Oregon. I absolutely blew them out of the water. And Florida beat Utah. That one is a surprise. I had Utah myself. I love Utah. I had them going with 1 loss through the entire year. I really liked what Utah have. Florida just got the better of them. Not gonna lie, Florida just got the better of them. And GG. I mean, absolutely congratulations to Florida. All right, looking down the list this weekend, we got Washington State coming over and playing Wisconsin. That's going to be a game that's a potential trap game for Wisconsin, opening up the year, get the emotions out, kind of settle down, relax, get into the groove of the game, and keep moving forward. Houston plays Texas Tech. This is a huge game for Houston. They had a huge thing with University of Texas San Antonio. You have a close game week 1, and now you go on the road against a Big 12 opponent. Houston needs to regroup this week, settle down, go into Texas Tech, take care of business, get out of there with a W. You don't want to have these rough weeks back to back to back, because they're going to be getting into division and conference play, and you don't want to have that all over your back. Virginia, Illinois is going to be a fun matchup to watch because those teams are evenly matched. It's basically the same team on the field. You're watching the same team on both sides. It's going to be fun to watch, not necessarily a marquee game, but it's going to be fun to watch. College football is going to be fun with some of the matchups they have, and the big one, though, at night is going to be Kentucky at Florida. Florida just won. So this is going to change the outlook of this game. Kentucky is going to take on a Florida team that just beat Utah. So this could help Florida a lot. They would beat 2 top 25 teams in the first 2 weeks if they can get this win. Kentucky, Florida, SEC East, college football, rivalry game, Looking forward to that Saturday night, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Rest of the night, not too terribly much. Indiana plays at night on Saturday against Idaho. That's so that those out there in the Pacific time zone can watch. The last game of the night is Baylor at BYU. Both of those teams are ranked. BYU is home, a opportunity for them to get a big win over a Big 12 opponent, and best of luck to BYU. Honestly, it'd be great if they could pull the upset. It would be fantastic if they could pull the upset. You also got Virginia Tech and Boston College that night. Hokies, Golden Eagles, longtime rivalry. Can't wait to see that as well. So this week, college football is going to be fun. The matchups may not be really marquee, but there's going to be a lot of good games, and there are a couple matchups you really want to watch for what happens, because it can continue to build on what this season's going to be for a couple different teams. All right, here we go. Top 10 fantasy players for this week in fantasy football. If you're struggling of what to do, I'm only doing the top 10. Anything else is just too much. And I'm not even going by position. This is going to go off of matchups, how often they're going to be played, what the offense is like, and how everything could look. So I'm going to give you the top 10 fantasy players based off of somewhat of positions. I don't want to just go points, because it'd just be quarterback heavy, and that's not going to do you any good. So here's what I'm looking at. Defensive wise, honestly, either Baltimore or San Francisco. San Francisco plays the Bears. The Chicago offensive line is trash. The Chicago football team is trash. You could have 20 plus points with that defense. The Ravens, the same thing. The Jets, Becton's already out. They've got pieces on the offensive line, but they're not going to be able to stop the Ravens' speed. Zach Wilson's going to throw the ball. You're probably going to get 3 interceptions, may get a touchdown return. Also probably looking at 17 plus points on defense. So 2 defenses I really like this week. San Francisco and Baltimore, hands down. Quarterbacks, kind of the same. Lamar Jackson's facing the Jets. Defense isn't that strong. I'm excited to see Sauce Gardner, but Sauce Gardner's really not the big thing. I think Lamar's going to use his feet this week, honestly. I think it's going to be big, big running weekend for Lamar. And then another quarterback under the radar. Watch for how this plays out. Another quarterback under the radar, Russell Wilson at Seattle. I don't know what the offense is going to look like with Hackett. I don't know how the offense is going to look, but I think Russell Wilson, Seattle, they're going to give him the opportunity to have his revenge game. It's his first game out, not in a Seahawk uniform, and it's on Monday night. He's going to show up. He's going to show out. You're probably looking at 4 touchdowns. Honestly, I think Denver blows them away on Monday Night Football. So there's a couple quarterbacks. There's a couple defenses. Running backs, honestly, Jonathan Taylor for the Colts is probably a lock right now. They're going to run the offense through him, primarily him, only him. Probably do a lot of play action with Matt Ryan. You're looking at bigger tight end, probably wide receiver 2 week for the Colts. So Alec Pierce and Mo Alley Cox are probably the ones you're going to be playing on that side of it. And then you're looking at another running back, Derrick Henry. So both of them in the South. Derrick Henry, they're playing the Giants. I think Tennessee, this is one they're going to get a dub this week. I think they'll win this week. They're going to pound the ball. Henry could end up with 200 plus yards. It's how it looks right now. Wide receiver, I think Justin Jefferson is probably one you want to watch really closely. I think he could have a huge game against Green Bay. I think the way that the offense is going to look with Kevin O'Connell could really throw things, throw players off a little bit. And then I think Mike Evans against Dallas with Tom Brady, I think he could have a big game. I think it's going to be a defensive grudge match, but I think he's going to have the receptions. The receptions are going to put him over the top. Touchdown, 90 yards, but I think it could come in like 10 receptions. It could be a lot of curl routes, trying to get the ball out quick for Brady. He's the taller target, And I think Mike Evans could be a really solid play this weekend. Tight end, honestly, right now, like I was telling my dad, I said you got 4 players that are like your Shannon Sharps. You got your George Kittle, you got your Travis Kelce, you got your Mark Andrews, you got your Kyle Pitts. And then I said you got about 5 guys that are Marcus Pollard. Tight ends always had different levels of what they are. And really this week, it's week number 1. Like I said, the Colts, Mo Alley Cox is more like a Marcus Pollard type. He'll get you consistent points. You're probably looking at, on the weeks when he doesn't get a touchdown, you're probably looking at 5 points. He'll get you, 2-3 catches, 25, 30 yards. And then on the times when he does score a touchdown, then you're looking at 11 to 12, 13 points. That's really the consistency you're looking for at tight end. And I don't think you can go wrong with any of them in week number 1, because week number 1, nobody knows what they have. So that is basically what I'm looking at for the fantasy football players this week. That is that. All right. So I said in my last video I would give you my Super Bowl prediction, kind of lay out how the playoffs. So here's what I have. I have the Colts winning the AFC South, the Bills winning the AFC East, the Bengals winning the AFC North, and the Chargers winning the AFC West. I don't like that pick. I really don't think they will. But looking at the games, and this is probably going to be amended in my week 4 standings one, if their coach doesn't lose them games, I could see them with the team they have winning that division. They have the ability, they got the power, and they're a West Coast team. So those are my 4 right there. That means the playoff teams are going to be Baltimore, Denver, and Las Vegas. Those are my 3 playoff teams that are wild cards. Think about that for a second. Denver, Baltimore, and Las Vegas Raiders all as wild cards. Now, here's something. There's normally 4 out and 4 in each year. From the AFC, compared to last year, who is out and who is in? That's the question. Who's out? Who is in? Well, number 1, we got the Ravens in. The Ravens are in. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to do it. They're going to look really good at it. The Denver Broncos, I also have making the playoffs as well. They're in. Who's out? Well, it takes out your other 2 teams. Kansas City is one of them that's out, and so is Tennessee. Kansas City and Tennessee are both out. Tennessee is out because the Colts win the division. The only team that's going from the AFC South is the division winner, no matter who it is. No other team's getting in. The Titans are out. The Colts are in. The Chiefs are out. The Chargers are in. The Raiders are still in. And the Broncos make it in. So really what it comes down to is simply this. You're not going to have Pittsburgh there. Pittsburgh's not going to make the playoffs. New England's not going to make the playoffs. Yeah, Miami could flirt with it, but I think you're going to have to win 11 games, 12 games to make the playoffs. And I don't see them being able to have that firepower. So, out of a stacked, and I mean stacked AFC, the records would indicate for Super Wildcard Weekend, Buffalo would have the bye week. And then they would play the lowest seed. So they play the lowest seed. So they would play either 4, 5, 6, or 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So that would be who they would play, which means based off of the winners, they would play either the Colts, the Ravens, the Broncos, or the Raiders. Now, every single one of those teams are tough. The problem is, in Buffalo, I've got Buffalo beating everybody easily except the Broncos. Broncos playing Mile High. They could have the ability or the awareness to be able to play in the snow. Las Vegas plays in the dome, warm. Colts play in a dome, and we're good at running the ball. We're not built. Last year was a fluke. We're not going to go to Buffalo and beat up on them. It's just that's not going to happen. So, I think Buffalo gets out of the divisional round. I think the Colts at home in that format would end up playing the Ravens. And honestly, if I am really honest, and I hate it, if I'm really honest, I don't see us beating the Ravens at home. I really don't. I would much rather play the Raiders and hope that's the Raiders. I may much rather play the Bengals, honestly, with the way our defense is built. I think maybe the Bengals is a better team for us to play. The Ravens with Lamar Jackson really, really scare me because our linebacking core is so weak outside of Leonard. And I don't think the Colts will make it out of that divisional round. But let's just, because we're home playoff, professional quarterback, let's say we somehow pull it out. So we would beat Buffalo. Denver would be in that one would be the 6th seed. And in the projections Denver would play Cincinnati. Denver and Cincinnati match up really, really well. Really well. Cincinnati's home. And honestly, it's going to be the only reason I give the slight edge to them. The only reason I give them the slight edge. I know it's probably not going to happen. I like the Broncos a lot more. You know what? Screw it. I like the Broncos a lot more. Broncos over Cincinnati. Cincinnati is good. It's the second year. The defenses, I trust Broncos defense more than I trust Cincinnati. So we're going to go Colts would win. Broncos would win. The Chargers would be home against the Raiders. Well, the Chargers are going to win that one. So then you're looking at the Chargers versus the Broncos, another division matchup, and the Bills versus the Colts. Bills are going to beat the Colts and take a coin flip. Just take a coin flip. This is why I think the Bills are going to win. And this is why I think the Bills make the Super Bowl. The Bills are my AFC pick to make the Super Bowl, only because the path that both the teams would have to take that they play in the AFC Championship is already so tough. Now, if Buffalo doesn't get the number 1 seed, it changes everything. But if Buffalo's the number 1 seed, they get the bye. The Chargers have to play the Raiders or the Chiefs or the Broncos, and then play the Bengals or the Ravens and the Broncos again. 2 teams that can beat, they're going to be tired. The end of the year, you're going to be tired, you're going to be sore, health is going to come into it, and Buffalo's probably going to be the best team as far as that is concerned. They'll have the bye week, they'll be able to get a little more healthy. They've got the weather on their side. Buffalo's in a position, in the way that the standings are, the way that I have it predicted, to make the Super Bowl with the most ease. Is it going to be a blowout? I doubt it. I'm going to say Broncos versus Bills, AFC Championship. The Bills take that and go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Now, the NFC is a little bit different. The NFC, I have the Rams as number 1 again. A lot of people are questioning it. I get it. I understand it. But I've got the Rams number 1. And then based off of the tiebreaker, the Vikings would be 2, Eagles would be 3, and Tampa Bay would be 4 because of the head-to-head. So those would be the 4. And then the playoff teams behind them would be San Francisco, would be the 5. The 6 would be Arizona. And the 7 would be Green Bay. Now, I've got a lot of teams. There's 3 teams at 9 and 8. Arizona, Green Bay, and Dallas. Based off of the head-to-head I have, Dallas would be the odd one out. Arizona and Green Bay would be in. Any one of those teams could flip-flop. I don't think Dallas is going to win enough to get there. So for now, let's stick with it. Green Bay sneaks in. Possibly Detroit. Detroit beats them late in the year. Detroit could sneak in. I've got the NFL, the playoff machine. that ESPN does from like week 14 on. I will be playing with that at the end of this year and telling you guys every scenario that I've played with to get the Lions into the playoffs. I want to see the Lions back in the playoffs. They deserve it. The fans deserve it. Um, Maybe the ownership doesn't deserve it, but dang it, neither did the Bengals ownership last year. And now, to his credit, he's spending money on them. So maybe that's all they need. Some good success, and they'll spend money on the team. But for now, let's go. Green Bay 7, Arizona is 6, San Francisco is 5. So Tampa Bay and San Francisco would play each other. San Francisco is just going to bulldoze them. Unless health-wise something's horrible, San Francisco's defensive line will bulldoze over Tampa Bay. Warm climate, both teams are going to be comfortable. Both teams will be able to play their offense. There's not going to be a big deal. Nothing's really going to be hard for either team. San Francisco's better than 5 wins. Arizona would then play Philadelphia. That one's a little bit more interesting. That one is a little bit more interesting because you've got the dynamic, but I think the cold weather takes out Arizona, and I'm a firm believer that Arizona is going to tank in the second half of the season again. So I'm going to pick Philadelphia, but the matchup on paper looks really good. I just think, once again, Arizona's going to fall apart. Then you got Minnesota against Green Bay, and I think they beat them for the third time, hands down. So the only team that's going to be the upset technically is going to be San Francisco over Tampa Bay, which means San Francisco plays the Rams and Philadelphia plays the Vikings. In Minnesota in a dome, San Francisco in Los Angeles in a dome. Dang it. I love football, but when you're trying to pick, it gets really difficult. So here's what it comes down to for me. I think the Minnesota Viking offense is more explosive. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. I think they're a little bit more dynamic with what they can do because their quarterback has the ability to throw the ball a little bit better as far as throwing only, than Jalen Hurts. Minnesota's defense, I think, is built a little bit better to stop a run-heavy Philadelphia team. I think the game is close. If I had to put a score on it, I would probably say 27-23, 27-26. Minnesota, maybe a game-winning field goal at the end of the game. But I'm picking Minnesota. Minnesota would then play the winner of San Francisco and the Los Angeles Rams for the third time this year. What do you do? You go with the home team. Defending Super Bowl champs, I think for a couple of them it could be their final run. I really do. I really think the minute they win 2 Super Bowls, they're going to be like, all right, peace out, made my money, I'm gone. Don't want to risk getting hurt and something happening. And if that's the case, good for them. Congratulations, best of luck. I got the Rams. I think the Rams division game, they'll play each other so much. It's going to be rough. I mean, I'm thinking 2017, 2016, based off of some extra field goals that they stop them on. Honestly, I could see that game being a 17-16 game possibly. I think it's going to be a grudge match, San Francisco versus Los Angeles, but they're home. They're going to be hungry. They're going to want to prove that they can do it, and I think the Rams will end up winning that game. This is where I think I am a big believer in what the Vikings have. I think Mike Zimmer held them back a lot because he wasn't willing to change. He wasn't willing to adapt. I think just like Andy Reid with the Chiefs, just like Cliff Kingsbury with the Cardinals, just like Sean McVay with the Rams, I think you're going to see, just like Matt LaFleur did with the Packers, an offensive coach comes in that's got a little bit of juice, a little bit of oomph behind it. I think the Vikings versus Rams game is really intriguing because you've got the ex-assistant going up against the one that he learned from. It's a really cool dynamic. It's another coaching tree matchup. And when you look at it on paper, and we're just going to go paper for a second, I don't see a fine line between the two. Outside of corner, Jalen Ramsey for the Rams, to me, is the one X factor. Defensive line, wash. Linebackers, wash. Corners, Rams. Wide receivers, wash. Running backs, probably more leaning towards Minnesota with Dalvin Cook, but the quarterback, you're going to lean Matthew Stafford with the Rams. So I think the corner position in a passing game, in a passing league, the corner of Jalen Ramsey on Justin Jefferson makes the difference in the game. I want to pick the Vikings. I really want to pick the Vikings. But better judgment says that the consistent team is going to take it, and the team that's got more defense on it. And I think Ramsey gives the Rams just a hair enough defense. It's going to be Bills versus Rams for the second time this year for the Super Bowl championship. And I'm sorry, Los Angeles, but Aaron Donald may be able to get through the line on Josh Allen, but Buffalo's offense will move the tight ends to block Aaron Donald out of the way and get Josh Allen the lanes he needs. Because of the defense that the Rams run, I think the Bills' offense will be a lot of screens, a lot of short dump offs to the tight end, and Josh Allen running over a lot of players. It's going to be a great game to watch, just like Thursday night is tonight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be energetic, but I think the Bills will win the Super Bowl this year. They've done it the right way. I respect them. I respect from the top down how they've built that team, and they 100% deserve to be able to win that Super Bowl if they can make it through this season. So my prediction from Blackhawk is really simple. Buffalo Bills over the Los Angeles Rams. And that's it for this, guys. Stay tuned. Saturday is going to be the picks for this week. We got week 1 of the NFL, and we are ready to roll. And I am super freaking pumped about it. But guys, I appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video so we can move up the ranks in the YouTube algorithm. It does help me out a lot, and it's much, much appreciated. Until the next time, guys, this is Blackhawk. Wings up, Hawk out. Take it easy.